Today I will interview foreigners living in Gwangju. Here I'm on my way to the first interview. This Gwangju neighborhood is called Suwon-jigu, and it is full of Western-style houses. One of these houses belongs to Anton Scholz, who allowed us to interview him in his home. Let's go in. Could you introduce yourself, like where you're from, how long you've been in Gwangju or Korea, and what you do here?
Yeah, my name is Anton Scholz. I'm originally from Germany, from Hamburg, and I have been in Korea for about 20 years now. I think 15 out of those I've been here in Gwangju, and I work as a freelance journalist, but also run my own company, which is a consulting and project management company where we basically support foreign enterprises coming to Korea with their projects here in Korea.
Okay. Is there a reason why you chose to live in Gwangju instead of Seoul, or maybe a city that's more in the middle of Korea?
Well, I came to Gwangju more by accident, I have to say. But it's more the reason why I decided to stay in Gwangju. I think Gwangju is a city big enough that you have pretty much everything that you need. And different than Seoul, you don't have to be stuck in traffic for hours every day. And since Korea is not such a big country, we have high-speed railways, we have flights, so I can be in Seoul very quickly, within about 2 hours time, from my house to the meeting. So I travel to Seoul basically every week and stay there for a day or two, do the stuff that I have to do in Seoul or in Busan or Daejeon or wherever I have to go. And living here has some advantages because I live in a house with a garden, and if I want to be out in nature in 10-15 minutes, I could be in the mountains. In 30 minutes, I could be at the beach. That is something of a lifestyle that is just not possible in Seoul, even if you have the most expensive of houses in Seoul.
I see. And do you think if children who come to Korea with their parents, who don't speak any Korean, do you think they could attend Korean school?
I think Korean school, it's possible, but it would be very tough, I think. But we do have an international school in Gwangju, so therefore most of the children from expats here, they attend the foreign school.
I see.
Yeah.
Can you recommend me 1 or 2 restaurants in Gwangju that you like, and tell me what I should order there?
Oh, that's well, Gwangju, if you ask any Korean, I think 9 out of 10 will tell you, if you ask them where is the best place in Korea to eat, they will always say Gwangju or Jeollado. So there are a lot of good places here. Well, there is, for example, there's a German restaurant here with a German chef, which is really nice. So that is definitely a place you could go to. They have great salads and everything. So I think you can even get something Germans are very fond of, a currywurst or something like this. So if you miss a taste of home, then that's a good place to go. And we also have, for example, fine dining here. I do enjoy good food and like to cook myself, so we have some interesting fine dining places here in Gwangju where you can really have some incredible food for reasonable prices. So I guess really in Gwangju, wherever you go, you usually get much better food than in Seoul, I would say. So if you're a foodie, this is a good place to stay.
And when you cook your own food, do you cook more Korean or more German or Western foods?
I think we're pretty much crossover in a way. So fusion, if you would use that word. We cook Korean, we cook German, we cook everything in between. So I think we're very international. We travel a lot, we enjoy food, so therefore we sample a lot of different foods from lots of different areas.
And would you say you sometimes have difficulties finding ingredients for the Western foods?
Most of what you need you can get here. These days anyway, you can get everything through the internet.
Can you tell me a bit about what you do in your free time, like activities you like to do or places you like to go?
Like I said, I like to travel. So you have international flights from Gwangju to quite a few destinations in Asia. So just fly over for a weekend to Japan or to China, to Shanghai or something like this is possible. And yeah, but basically one of the real advantages of living in a city like Gwangju, where you're not really stuck like in Seoul sometimes, I think getting out of Seoul and getting back into Seoul, for example, on the weekend, you spend most of the weekend on the road. And here really it's just 15-20 minutes and you're out in nature. So it's a very great place. If you do enjoy nature, if you like hiking, if you want to go to the ocean, or so traveling in this region and experiencing new food and photography and filming and stuff like that, I really enjoy that.
And is there anything that you don't like about Gwangju that might be better in other cities?
Well, sometimes I miss a little bit the international atmosphere. So Gwangju is quite big. It's 1.5 million people, so it's really not a small city by any standard, but still the foreign community is rather small. And consist mostly of English teachers or something like this. Otherwise, there's not too much I miss, maybe.
Is there anything you would like to say to the CEO of a foreign company who is thinking about sending workers to Gwangju?
Yeah, well, I think Gwangju is really a good city to live at. It's you send somebody here, they should be aware of that. It's not as international as many other places in Asia, maybe like Singapore, Hong Kong, or all these places. But you can enjoy living here if you do like the outdoors, for example. So if it's a family, for example, with kids and or people who really enjoy being in the outdoors, enjoying nature, enjoying good food, and then I think they can be quite happy here.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
No problem, anytime.
Next, we decided to go to the German restaurant recommended by Anton Scholz and asked the chef for an interview. This European restaurant was recommended by me by a German person living in Gwangju. The owner himself is also German. Let's try the food. Could you introduce yourself, like where you're from, how long you've lived in Gwangju, and what you do here?
My name is David Zimmer. I'm a German chef living here in Gwangju. I'll be here with my wife for around 10 months now, nearly a year.
And you opened your own restaurant here?
Yes, exactly. We opened our own restaurant, Baden-Baden European Casual Fine Dining. Yeah.
And your wife is Korean, which is why you came to Korea?
Yeah, exactly. So we met each other in Australia, and then we moved to Germany. We got married there, and then after 1 year, we decided to move to Korea to open our own restaurant here, because together we got over 20 years experience in the hotel business, and we thought all this experience we put through and open our own restaurant here in Gwangju.
And why did you choose Gwangju to open your restaurant?
There are many reasons why we choose Gwangju over, let's say, any other city in Korea. Gwangju is the heart of Jeollanam-do, so we got the mountains, we got the oceans, we got beautiful landscape, and that's basically the good thing which gives us the top opportunity to get high quality products right on the doorstep.
Do you only use local products, or do you also import some products from, for example, Germany?
We're not using only local products. We on our day off on Sundays, we love to go to the local market and get local vegetables and stuff which we incorporate in our menu or in the specials which we do every now and then.
Besides Germany, you also lived in Switzerland, Italy, Scotland and Australia. Compared to those experiences, would you say living in Korea is more difficult?
I think wherever you live, you got his own challenges. One of the big challenges which I faced here in Korea is probably the language, because my Korean is not very fluent and I'm just learning. But besides that, I must say that all the Koreans which I met are very friendly and helpful. Doesn't matter in the restaurant or on the street. So as soon as they see a foreigner, they are very open-hearted, and yeah, they are very welcoming and helpful. So that makes it a lot easier to accommodate and to live in a city.
When people decide to move to a different country, the food in that country can be an important factor for them. Would you say that Europeans, for example, enjoy Korean food?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, European or Westerners enjoy Korean food just for many reasons. I think one of the most common reasons is that there are a lot of health beneficials which come with the Korean food. Korea also has like the banchan culture, which is not very common in Europe, and it's something new. And the other way around, I think that there's a trend that Koreans enjoy more Western food.
So, for example, the banchan culture, for people who don't know, it's that you have a lot of small dishes to choose from.
Yeah.
And in Germany, that's never the case. You just have one big plate.
Yes, right. Yes. So I think in Korea, the sharing culture and like you get one main dish and then a lot of small side dishes. It's totally different to what you get in Europe. In Europe, you got basically one plate per person, and that's also what we try to accommodate here in our restaurant. So a lot of people ordering only one dish, so they just put it on the middle of the table and then they share everything, which is good because it gives us a lot of variety for the guests and also for us.
Gwangju and the whole Cholla region is famous for its great Korean food, but what about foreign food? Can you tell me about the foreign food scene in Gwangju?
Yeah, I can, a little bit. I mean, since we opened the restaurant, most of the time we spend in the restaurant because opening it's quite a bit of work. But I know for sure there are a few restaurants around here which serve Western food, not especially from Western chefs, but from Western trained chefs. They make food, and also like all the pasta and Western style food is a big trend at the moment in Korea.
Koreans love pasta.
Right, they love pasta, and I think it was 2 or 3 years ago in Seoul what my wife told me, and now it's slowly coming down to Gwangju. So yeah, we are happy to step on that trend and get it done.
Is there anything you would like to say to the CEO of a foreign company who is thinking about sending workers to Korea, to Gwangju?
Yeah, I would highly recommend sending people or foreign people to Gwangju. As I mentioned earlier, all Koreans, and especially the one here in Gwangju, are very welcoming and open-hearted. So yeah, and also it gives the city itself a bit more of a variety from different cultures, which is I think a good thing to spice up the mix a little bit.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you very much.
Now we will visit Gwangju Foreign School, and we are going to interview the principal. I'm here at Gwangju Foreign School. It is the only school in Gwangju that offers all classes in English. It covers all grades from kindergarten to high school, and I get to interview the principal. Could you introduce yourself, like where you're from, how long you have lived in Korea in Gwangju, and what you do here?
Sure. Hi, my name is Jill Iwanek. I'm the principal of Gwangju Foreign School. This is our 3rd year here in Gwangju, but we've lived in Korea for almost 10 years now. We used to live in Seoul.
So Gwangju Foreign School is the only WASC accredited school in Gwangju. Can you tell me a bit about the school that might be important or interesting to parents who are thinking about moving to Gwangju?
Sure. So yeah, like you said, Gwangju Foreign School is the only WASC accredited school here in Gwangju. Even in Jeollado, there's only one other school that falls under that category. What that means is that we are held to a particular standard where where we have to fulfill certain requirements as outlined by this organization. The WASC organization actually comes from the United States, and they accredit all of the public schools, the private schools, any schools on the west coast of the United States. So that means for us, the standards that we're held to are the same standards as American public schools. So when families start to look at schools in this area, especially if they come from overseas, this is a really great option. It will allow their children to even graduate from here and be able to move on to university fairly seamlessly.
Mm-hmm. And how many students do you have right now?
Currently, we're at about 62 students, I believe. It does fluctuate year to year.
And is it mostly families, like Korean families who lived abroad for a while, or is it mostly like foreign families who moved here to work?
I'd say the majority are Korean families who have lived overseas for this particular school. Mm-hmm. And we have a smaller percentage of families whose, where one parent or both parents are working for a particular company here in the Gwangju area.
And because it's a private school, the tuition is quite high. Mm-hmm. Do you know if firms send their expat employees here? Do you know if the employers cover tuition fees, or is
I do know we have families that fall into both of those categories, where the parent's company pays the tuition for their students, and then there are other families that pay themselves. Gwangju Foreign School does offer scholarship programs and financial aid packages that are personalized for families to because really we're here for them, so we want to be able to support them and allow their children to come here. In terms of the tuition, it's pretty at par with other international schools there.
Can you tell me about your family? Like, are you married or do you have children?
Sure. I am married. I have my husband, Derek, and we have 2 children. Logan is our oldest. He is 6 years old, and Rosie is 4 years old. They were both born here in Korea when we lived up in Seoul, so they're both bilingual, and we just love, because that's not a gift that either of us could have given our children on our own. So we really, that's really one of the things that we love about being overseas. Mm-hmm.
And they go to Gwangju Foreign School as well? Yes,
they do. They both attend here. Both of my children actually attended the local kindergarten, and that was simply because they were too young to come here. The youngest students that we take here at KFS are 4. 4 years old is the youngest, so my kids weren't 4 yet, so they didn't come. If they could have, they would have.
So you also lived in Seoul for how many years?
8 years.
8 years. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And would you say you like Seoul better or Gwangju better?
That's tricky. I really, really love Gwangju for raising our kids here. Mm-hmm. There's a very, very tight-knit expat group here, and for as tight-knit as they are, they're also extremely welcoming. Mm-hmm. We've never felt, in all of our time here, we've never felt like outsiders. The people in Gwangju are just a little friendlier than the people in Seoul. And people were nice enough and everything, but the people here are just a little more relaxed, I think, than up north.
And how do you feel about the bus network?
The bus network is fantastic here. It's really easy to manage. Learning to read or at least decode Korean is very helpful. We have apps on our phones that tell us where we're going and when the next bus comes, and it's all really easy easy to navigate. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a private car as well?
No, we do not. Mm-mm.
And you don't feel the need to have one?
No, the only time I really miss it is like right now. We're on school vacation, and we don't really want to take a bus to any other cities. Yeah. I wouldn't mind one right now, but I also really don't want the expense. So, we're happy to live without it. Yeah.
So you said your Korean is not that good yet. What do you do if you feel sick, if you want to go to a doctor? How do you find an English-speaking doctor?
We, for all of our years here in Korea, we've never had a problem with communication at a hospital or any kind of medical facility. Really, it seems like the doctors have a pretty good command of English, which is wonderfully helpful for us since our Korean isn't that good yet. But yeah, it hasn't really been an issue at all. We go to, for emergencies, we have a hospital close by. We can go to the ER. Sometimes the nurses and I might struggle a little bit, but it always seems that there's someone there that can help.
Do you have any favorite restaurants in Gwangju that you would recommend?
I do. If you're looking for like American Canadian style food, there's a lovely restaurant downtown called The First Alleyway, which for us, we tend to go more on special occasions because it's just a little further away for us. But we really enjoy it. But locally, like right here in Cheomdan, there's a really nice barbecue restaurant called Gwangju-CITY, and it's they have this really great set of I'm gonna forget the name of it. It's a dweji galbi, like a pork, stir-fried pork, and then the scrambled egg roll, and they'll bring rice and kimchi and all the banchan, and really, it's solid. It's really good, and it's very close by.
So when you want to cook a Western dish, and you go grocery shopping, would you say all you need is available, or are there some items that you think, I just can't find them?
We don't have a lot of trouble. The larger supermarkets in this area are very well stocked, and that's true no matter if you're going to like Lotte Mart or Home Plus or E-Mart. They're all pretty well stocked with whatever you need. And if by chance there's something unusual that we want, like sometimes we order like almond flour or like a light olive oil. Those kinds of things are a little bit harder to find at the stores, but you can easily find them on Coupang. And then another online service that we use is called iHerb. And both of them, between all three, you get everything you need.
As the principal of a foreign school, I guess you know a lot about the foreign community in Gwangju. Can you tell me about your experience in the foreign community?
I will say in this part of the city, the expat community isn't quite as abundant, I guess, as the downtown area. Nonetheless, I definitely feel well connected to the foreign community here. Social media is extremely helpful, both as a parent and as someone who is new to the area. That was the first thing that we did. Once we knew we were moving to Gwangju, I jumped on Facebook and I just looked for groups that were centered around expat, an expat community, and it's really it's wonderful. I have a nice group of moms and we're from all over, which I love, and it's a pretty active community as well. There's always something going on. One of my friends just opened up a nice restaurant downtown, so he's always publicizing on social media to let us know what's going on. The foreign community here in Gwangju is really wonderful, very accepting, very welcoming to anybody that wants to be involved.
So. Is Gwangju especially good for families or more better for young expats?
Honestly, I think there's a pretty solid mix of both. As a parent, I have gravitated more towards the parent community, but I know of teachers here, that are single and don't have kids. There's definitely a healthy mix.
Can you tell me a bit about what you like to do in your free time, like activities you like to do or places you like to go?
We're very exploratory, so we like to just kind of wander the bus system a little bit. That's how we've spent a lot of our time. You know, because my children are younger, they love riding the bus. So a lot of times we just get on a bus to see where it will take us. And it's taken us to some pretty cool spots. We love hiking Mudungsan, very beautiful mountain, and really every season of the year offers something, you know, and I really love that about hiking, and I think that's true of hiking here, no matter where you are. But Mudungsan is one of our favorites, and some parks that we really love. Sangam Park is really close by to us, which we love, and there's also a park over by the river, which is they have a splash pad and just, you know, nice paths to walk. And Korea in general, I find they do a really good job with the green space within a city. Like we found that in Seoul too, just a lot of really beautiful parks, and we just try to find them. So the ones that we find, we go back to. Yongsan has a really nice, has a beautiful pond, and then there are like these kind of wooden walkways that go out to the center of a lake, and you can just, you know, just walk around and enjoy. We love it.
And is there anything about Gwangju you don't like that might be better in other cities?
Really, like I said before, the only thing I really miss is the subway. The subway in Seoul, I mean, it's just so convenient. It's clean, it's efficient, it's affordable. And we used to live right across the street from it. So, you know, that was always really nice. But that's really the only thing I miss. Really anything that we were able to get in Seoul, we can also get here. So,
is there anything you would like to say to the CEO of a foreign company who is thinking about sending employees to Gwangju?
Gwangju is a really great city. You know, I know Seoul has the convenience of being, you know, Seoul and a big city and all that. But here in Gwangju, I think people are allowed to do a little bit more with their space because there is more space here, so more opportunities for development. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's really just, it's a great community. You know, I mean, between KFS and the expat community in general, it's a great place to live.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Well, thank you for your time as well.
Lastly, I interviewed a professor from Brazil who has a long-standing cooperation with the Gwangju Institute of Science and Technology. Could you introduce yourself and explain your role as adjunct professor at the Gwangju Institute of Science and Technology?
Oh yeah, so I'm Hamilton Varela. I'm a full professor at the Institute of Chemistry of São Carlos at the University of São Paulo, which is the sort of the biggest and the best research university in Brazil. And I've been worked for a kind of long time with Professor Jae Young Lee at GIST, and mainly as a adjunct professor. And for this role, I have to go to Korea kind of every year or every 2 years and give some lectures for 2 or 3 lectures during this period. And I also worked a lot with, although I'm in Brazil, so we have a joint projects to cooperate between the 2 universities. And I also help advise some students in terms of reviewing the thesis. So I'm not very often in Korea, but it's a kind of a long-standing cooperation, to say.
Yeah.
So I've been, it's amazing, but I've been just 3 times in Gwangju so far. So, and each time I spend sort of 2 weeks at least in Gwangju. I like very much.
When you come to Gwangju, do you usually go by yourself, or do you sometimes take your family? Or?
No, so far I've been on my own because it's always I've been in different periods of the year, but usually this period coincides with the school period for my kids and so on. But for the next time, actually I planned to go this year, but was not possible, as I said. But for next year, I do plan to go with my whole family to spend 2 or 3 weeks in Gwangju. We are still uncertain, but I have plans to go with my family, to say.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
So you have been to Seoul too. What's your impression? Like, how would you describe the difference between Seoul and Gwangju?
Yeah, for Seoul, I've been for a very short period. So it's a very cosmopolitan city,
Yeah.
and it's not very easy to move, to stay for foreigners. But I would, I mean, if I would have plans to stay longer, I would certainly go to Gwangju because of people, because of friends and university and so on.
Would you say if someone goes to Gwangju and doesn't speak any Korean, is it still possible to get by?
Yes, certainly yes. I mean, I really have plans to learn some Korean, but in so far, I mean, I can speak English on the streets, even with this broken English or Brazilian accent. Just say, I have no problem to establish communication with people anywhere. I mean, not only, of course, inside the university, it's very easy, right? But if you go to the streets and restaurant and so on, everything it's perfect, no problem.
I see. So you are professor of chemistry, and
Yeah.
at the Gwangju Institute of Science and Technology, you are part of the School of Earth Sciences and Environmental Engineering. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. Do you know if there are some other foreigners in the same department?
Yes, that for this adjunct professor position within this department, as far as I know, there is one from Brazil. It's me. One from Germany, and one or two for the US, I think. So it's overall it's a very international atmosphere there. So
is there anything you would like to say to the CEO of a foreign company who is thinking about sending employees to Gwangju?
Well, my experience in Gwangju has been really great. I mean, I like very much the city. I like in general the people, the way they approach you as a foreigner, the way they help you. In general, I strongly recommend. I mean, I like the food, I like the weather, and I like the people. So what else? It's more than enough to have a nice, at least from my side, to have a nice intellectual life with friendship and so on. So I'm really glad of having these opportunities to go to Gwangju, and I strongly recommend, of course.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.